Hi, folks, it's Mayra,
And it's Alex.
and welcome back to our second episode.
Of the college edition. Today we are joined with.
Two special guests from UH Manoa. We will go ahead and have them introduce themselves, starting with Jose.
Hi, aloha students, prospective students. My name is Jose Magno. I'm one of the admissions counselors with the Office of Admissions at the University of Hawaii at Manoa.
Perfect. And Justin.
Hey, what's up, folks? My name is Justin, also an admissions counselor and scholarship coordinator here at the university. Both Jose and I graduated from the university, so we'd be happy to provide some tips along the way.
Perfect. That sounds amazing. Thank you so much, you two, for being here. Alex and I really appreciate it a lot. So today we are going to be doing like a Q&A for you folks, just asking questions about like UH and like providing tips for you folks who do want to apply to Manoa.
And the first question is for either one of you, actually. So, what are your favorite traditions at UH Manoa? Or if you have any, that is.
You want to go, Justin?
Not necessarily a tradition, but I guess I enjoy getting involved in all of the different events on campus, all of the different sporting events, or even like theater productions that are going on. It's a lot of fun, first and foremost. For instance, any kind of welcome event, any kind of concerts that are going on, even sporting events are all free. So like I said, it's a lot of fun, but not only that, but you get to meet a lot of other students on campus. And as an incoming freshman, it's always fun to meet some new people from different high schools and different states and different countries. So I guess building your network there, it's a great opportunity to do that rather than just going to and from classes the entire time.
That sounds really fun. Next question. Due to the pandemic, the admissions process is different. How is this year's process different from the previous years?
I guess because of the pandemic, there's been some modifications to our application process, obviously. The biggest change because of COVID and just the inability for a lot of our students to actually register and take either the SAT or ACT exam. This year we are test optional, so we're not requiring test scores for admission to UH Manoa. However, because we are test optional, we are reviewing applications a little bit differently this year. In previous years, it was purely based on academics, so specific GPA and specific test scores were our main objectives in terms of reviewing and our requirements. However, this year, because of being test optional, we are reviewing applications more holistically. So we are factoring everything in from extracurricular activities, involvement in sports, part-time employment. So we traditionally don't require supplemental documents as part of our application process. But when we do review applications, we do want to factor in literally everything the student has been involved with from freshman year to the point of application. So we do highly encourage them to submit, resumes, a personal statement, maybe up to 2 letters of recommendation. So that's probably the biggest change that's occurred due to the pandemic for the admissions and application process.
Oh, okay. Wow, okay. That's
A lot of
interesting.
changes.
Yeah.
Okay. And since you did touch up on like the SAT and ACT being test optional, and you folks were saying like the resume part, what would you say you folks look at the most? Like, I know you touched based on like extracurricular activities and like submitting their resumes and letters of recommendations, but which one do you heavily prefer more?
I would probably say we're going to look at everything pretty equally. There's no preference for one over the other. When it comes to letters of recommendation, ideally would ask that a student would, approach individuals that can really vouch for their potential on the UH Manoa campus anybody that can really vouch for their character, their academic performance. The personal statement, there's no essay prompt specific to our application like other universities. So they can, I would suggest maybe keep it Manoa focused, write about why they want to attend UH Manoa and what they want to accomplish or what they want to major in and why they want to do it specifically at UH. But I know a lot of students have actually applied to other universities where they utilize essays. So they can also submit essays they've used for other applications as well.
Okay. And also adding on to that question, if they did submit their test score, would you folks look at their application the same way if they didn't submit their test score?
Yeah, I would look at it the same way. So if students turn in their test scores, we would definitely take that into consideration. We are test blind at the moment because of the pandemic. So if students don't turn it in, then we won't hold that against you either.
Okay, okay. And another thing for your application, I did notice that UH Manoa isn't on the Common App or My Collation. So where could students find your application to apply?
So it's going to be specifically on the main Manoa admissions website. So it's manoa.hawaii.edu/admissions. And when you go to that website, there's going to be 4 buttons. They click on the freshman button, and it's going to take you to our Manoa preferred application. And it's a really easy application to follow along with. The first part, you put in your personal information. Second portion after that, you put in all of your academics. So that's regarded as our self-reported application where you list all of your courses, the grades that you received in high school. And then the last portion is like your residency information and so forth. So it's a really easy process, really easy application. It should take no more than 45 minutes.
Okay, that sounds like a really easy application then. Okay.
So
yeah, much easier than Common App.
Yes, I definitely agree.
So going back to your application, so when you're viewing a student's application, like what stands out to you more than the, I don't know, average student?
I can't speak on behalf of everyone, but when I look at an application, I look at academics first. You have to obviously pass your respective high schools and graduate from your schools. I look at your GPA to see how you're doing, and not just senior year, but all the way from freshman through senior year. Trying to, I guess, judge if there's any patterns there, if there's a progression that's going up or down. So obviously, if your GPA is going up, then that'll definitely help your case. If it's going down, then well, that'll hurt your case, obviously.
Yeah.
But other things that I guess we look at is in terms of what Jose mentioned earlier is if you do turn in letters of rec, if you do turn in personal statements, those are all things that we'll take into consideration holistically. And obviously we want to find the right student that fits UH Manoa, right? We're not only just looking at academics and academics only, we're trying to look at you as an individual, both in and outside of school. So any more information is always better than less on our application.
Yeah.
Okay.
In addition to that as well, I think we're probably looking more closely at the quality of the courses that the student is taking as well. So if you have more AP or IB courses that shows better initiative for you to challenge yourself academically, obviously that's going to be factored in. Also, I guess leadership in terms of extracurriculars, taking the initiative to be in clubs, but not only being part of clubs, but on like executive boards. So being like the class president, being a secretary, those kinds of things, we factor that in as well. And those are going to be favorable, things that we'll look at on the application upon review.
So you mentioned AP and IB classes. Which one do you folks prefer? Do you?
Oh.
I think the audio cut out a little bit there, but I'll answer whatever I heard in the beginning. As far as AP and IB, we accept them both. We don't have one preference over the other. For AP examinations, if you're scoring anywhere between a 3, 4, or 5, many times we can give you college credits for that. And if you're taking IB classes, especially HL classes, if you're scoring anywhere between a 5, 6, or 7, then we can give you some college credits for those as well. So not one preference over the other.
Okay, and then I had a question for you, Justin. So I know you work on the college scholarship side of Manoa. So could you explain the differences between a loan and a grant?
Oh, okay. I deal more with scholarships. As far as financial aid, I'll touch upon that. I'm not the expert here, but as far as a loan and a grant, essentially loans are money that you're going to have to pay back, right? So taking out a loan from your FAFSA account, you're going to have to pay that back to the U.S. government. Usually, I believe it's around 6 months after graduation, you have to start making those payments back. And as far as grants goes, those are like scholarships. It's free money, right? A lot of times if you're filling out your FAFSA and you get a grant, it's going to be based on like your income or your family's income, and depending on how much you may need or your special circumstances. So grant money, I would always encourage students to accept if you're offered a grant, just because it's free money. It's like scholarships. And loans, I would say, you know, those are conversations that students are going to have with their family members or even like their parents, just to see if that's something that they want to take on. Because those do accrue interest.
Yeah, that's completely understandable. Okay, thank you. What are the different types of financial aid that UH Manoa offers?
Our financial aid is basically either a scholarship, a loan, or a grant.
Okay.
Basically the three biggest components. Many of the loans and grants come from filling out that free FAFSA application. And then scholarships are offered either by individual offices, by individual organizations. So for instance, our office, admissions office, we offer a variety of scholarships from us. So anytime a student is looking to go to any university, I would probably tell them just to do their research on scholarships, ask their instructors, ask their academic advisors, email the university, see what options there are.
Okay. Mara, is your audio back?
Yes, my audio is back. Sorry about that, folks. Okay. Speaking about like college debt and financial aid and like paying for college, what is the average college debt that students leave with, and how does that compare to other colleges? You could also speak about like students who go to school, or like, sorry, students who's from Hawaii and attends UH and like also outer island.
As far as average cost goes, I know that at the university, the average cost to attend our university is approximately $30-ish thousand per year, and that's for an in-state resident. And that does count room and board. It does count transportation. And if you're a local resident, Hawaii resident, and you're looking at going away for school, a lot of times that average cost per year is like 60 grand per year, which if you add that up times 4, you know, it starts to be quite a bit amount of money. So I do know that at the university here, over 70% of our students receive some sort of financial aid, and our median cost, our cost to attend the university is well below the national medium across the United States. So if you're looking at saving some money while still getting a good education, I would encourage students just to stay home, essentially. And if you're considering going away for school, or if you're considering going for a graduate degree, maybe that might be the time to go elsewhere, right? Because that's only 2 years of tuition compared to all 4 years for a bachelor's degree.
Okay, that definitely sounds like a cheaper option, especially for me right now, like looking at colleges out of state and everything. I definitely say that it's like more on the pricey side.
So, when I was doing some research before this interview, I had actually seen that UH Manoa is kind of known for some of its public research, or it's a public research university. So, could you elaborate on what that means and what do you folks focus on researching?
So we're actually regarded as a Research One university designated by the Carnegie Institute. So out of a few thousand schools in the country, there's only 115 of us designated Research One. So other schools that are designated Research One, you're looking at, let's say, UC Berkeley, UCLA, you're looking at University of Oregon, Harvard, all the Ivy League schools are designated Research One. So UH is actually in alignment in terms of research with a lot of these other big name universities. And we're also one of only 5 schools in the country that has a land, sea, space, and sun grant designation. So there's close to about 5,000 schools, and there's only 5 schools in the country that have 4 designations for those grants. Most universities have 1 or 2. We have all 4. So in general, Hawaii is actually one of the best places in the entire world to study the sciences, just because we have a lot of biodiversity. We have a lot of indigenous, endemic, and endangered species that you can study. We have 11 of the 13 climate zones. Just specifically to the Big Island, we have 11 of the 13 climate zones. So there's a lot of things that you can study. In terms of research, because we are Research One, that actually permeates all of our programs to some capacity. So there's a lot of experiential learning. Like even, for example, the College of Education, because we have a land grant school, your last 2 years of being in the College of Education, you're actually part of a cohort of students, and you're fully student teaching your last 2 years to give you that hands-on experience. So a lot of our programs have a component where you can put a lot of what you learn in lecture or in the classroom and put that into hands-on application. And even like programs like Asian studies, there's like research-based components to like Asian studies, economics. So, research really drives the University of Hawaii at Manoa. If you actually take a look at the largest industries in the state, the biggest industry is going to be tourism, followed by the military. And when you actually combine all the research dollars generated from the University of Hawaii at Manoa campus, we're regarded as a 3rd largest industry in the state. So that kind of gives you a general idea of the magnitude of what research does and what you can get involved with as a student on campus.
Wow.
That sounds. Oh, sorry. Go ahead, Alex.
No, sorry. So when you're talking about the 3rd largest industry, just from me thinking like, it can't be that large. It's just like research, but that's a lot of money.
Yeah, because when you're thinking of research, it's not specifically just for the sciences. I mean, it goes into agriculture. It goes into like forensic research, biomedical engineering, biotechnology. So all these departments that have like research going on, that when you combine everything, we're regarded comprehensively as a 3rd largest industry, which is a lot actually. So
yeah.
So would you say that like every major or like department that UH has, would you say that they all have a research area?
I would probably say that. I mean, I graduated from the business school, and there was like research that you can get involved with in terms of like economics or international business, even from the business standpoint. I know students that are doing research. Our psychology department is really research driven rather than research and clinical driven. I mean, I think across the board, research for most programs, even like art, you can do research topics within like the art program, even music. So yeah. You have anything to add?
I think you covered up about everything with research.
I definitely think that a lot like UH Manoa or like even UH Hilo has like a big advantage on like sciences and like marine biology, just because again we are on an island, so we have like these opportunities to actually go out, and it's kind of like this is like our backyard, like our oceans are our backyard because, you know, we're just like on this island.
Yeah. So I mean, even when you talk about marine biology, if you end up at UH Manoa specifically for marine sciences, we have something called the Hawaii Institute of Marine Biology on Coconut Island. So it's actually in Kaneohe Bay, but it's the only research facility in the entire world that's built on a coral reef. So we have our own research island. I mean, how many other universities can say they have their own research island dedicated just for marine sciences? So there's actually a lot of really great resources that a lot of our local kids are not familiar with that UH Manoa can really offer them.
Okay, okay, that sounds really amazing, especially like being one of like the number three. So, okay. And moving on to another question that's like not based on research or anything. Um, so I do know that we have like students at UH who are from like the mainland and even students who's like from the other islands. So what type of health and academic support services are available for those students?
Oh, Justin, you gotta unmute yourself.
Sorry about that. As far as help goes, we have a variety of academic advice to help students, you know, succeed essentially at the end of the day. And advisors are there to make sure that students are taking the right classes, obviously getting good grades and graduating on time. Anytime students have trouble with a particular class, maybe we do have like 3 free tutoring centers on campus. So if in case you're struggling with a particular class, you can always sign up for free tutoring by either a graduate level student, many times a graduate level student, to kind of help you along the way. So when I was a student, like years and years and years ago, like I hated English class. Like I'm not good at writing. If I could write everything in bullet form, I'd rather do that. So I took advantage of free English tutoring, and a graduate student there just helped me kind of discuss topics to write about or proofread my research papers and things like that. So that was something I found very helpful, and it was always on my schedule, not someone else's schedule. So anytime a student is having a little bit of trouble, then, you know, we do have services like that. Any other services? Are you talking about academic services or like other?
Just like academic and health services. So like, you know, for example, when you go to the mainland, they have like a doctor's office or something like that.
Yeah. So we have, yeah, we have like we have our own clinic on campus. It's called the University Health Services. We have a program on campus that deals with like mental health. So, you know, they have like student support services for students that are, you know, having a hard time in college in terms of, you know, mental health services. We have something called Kukua that helps with students with special needs, accommodations for like test taking and note taking. So across the board, comprehensively, there's a lot of different services in place for all students. There's also a group of programs called Student Equity, Excellence, and Diversity. So even programs for like first generation students, students from underrepresented minority groups. So I think there's a lot that's in place to ensure the success and I guess the academic and mental health of our students.
Okay, very diverse. You got folks have like a very diverse group of like support for students, which I think is really amazing.
And then going to the second to the last question we have here today, what tips or advice do you have for students that are applying to UH?
I'll let Jose take this one.
What tips do I have? I guess first and foremost, I guess when even in senior year, you know, senioritis can hit, but finish your year strong, still do well academically, still continue to challenge yourself and put that effort in to finish your senior year strong. When it comes to the application, apply early, get the application taken care of. I think the earlier you get it in, the faster you get your decision, but most importantly, the more you can factor into your overall decision when you get other colleges um, sending their notices to you, that you can make the best decision financially as well as academically and based on your major. So apply early so you can factor everything in when you do make your final college decision. And then just from my perspective, as from a high school student starting college, whatever habits that you have in high school that prevented you from doing well academically, just make sure that doesn't carry on into freshman year of college, because it's always easy to start off really good and continue that momentum. But if you start off really poorly in college, it's really hard to start from the bottom with a low GPA and build it back up. I had a lot of friends that ended up on academic probation their first semester because they didn't take college seriously. I think if you have the mindset that you're there and you know what you want to do in college and you're there for a specific reason and it's costing your parents money, that's gonna really drive just your mentality and also just your ability to navigate from college as soon as you step onto campus.
Thank you. That was actually really helpful for me. I'll keep that in mind for next year. And then our last question for today is, why did you guys decide to work at UH Manoa?
You can start, Justin.
For me, I worked when I attended the university. I worked on campus in the College of Education, and I really enjoyed my experience working on campus, just because all my supervisors were very friendly, very nice, all very receptive of if I had a final or an exam or anything like that. So when I was going through college, it was kind of like, shoot, like I didn't know that this could be a full-time job. Like I'm just, so I guess when I graduated, I had other goals in mind. But at the end, I returned back to university. And it's just because I enjoy the people here, students. It's a lot of fun, trying to help guide folks to where you guys eventually want to go. Both Jose and I are graduates of the university, so we both bleed green, right? And it's just a very warm and welcoming environment to work here. And we both just, I mean, anyone in our fields, we want to make a difference, right? We want to make an impact for you folks so that you guys can figure out what careers you want to take on, I don't know, that's a little bit about my history. I don't know about Jose's.
Well, I guess similar to Justin, I also worked as a student when I was at UH Manoa. And I enjoyed my time there. That my first job ever in life was as a student worker in the Office of Admissions. So I was there until I graduated. But Justin majored in education. I majored in business. So I actually ended up working in the private sector for a couple years before moving back to the University of Hawaii system. So I actually ended up in tourism and I was in hotel management. And I told myself if I completely was not into it and I didn't like the industry, I would eventually make my way back to UH Manoa to work with students. So interesting enough, I wanted to end up working at a specific hotel out of college, and I ended up working at that specific hotel, and it was just a little bit too much for me. And then I eventually ended back up ended back in the Office of Admissions where I started as a student. So I think, yeah, it's a rewarding industry to be in, as Justin mentioned, and it's always nice to see, help students from the prospective stage matriculate into college, and then after they graduate with their degree, that's probably the most rewarding part of it, I think.
It's really inspiring to hear like you two being students at UH Manoa and becoming or having jobs now at the school you graduated from, and you two seem very passionate about it. And to me, that's really inspiring, because if someone is really passionate about their job, then they're really passionate to giving back to the community or to whoever they're helping. And again, hearing you folks being passionate about helping students and everything like that, it's truly inspiring.
Yeah.
Okay, well, that is all of the questions that we have today for Jose and Justin. Thank you so much, you two, for coming in today to this Q&A. Both Alex and I, we really appreciate it. Once again, you folks seem really passionate about your jobs, and like actually now it makes me think, wow, I should like apply to UH Manoa because to be honest, I didn't like submit my application yet. But now that I hear like you folks talking about it, it seems like a really great school.
Oh
Yeah,
yeah.
we always encourage students to find the right fit for you, right? Both Jose and I, we both are never going to pressure you you have to come to Manoa. I mean, only you know what's for yourself, right? So if you do choose to come here, if you do choose to apply here, we'll help you, through every step of the way. And if you do feel as if, another institution is more your speed, then, we do the best in that decision process too.
Yeah.
Okay.
And college is what you make of it. Regardless of where you end up for college, you can go to a big name university, an Ivy League university, but if you don't apply yourself, it's not going to matriculate to a good job and a good career. Versus if you go to a smaller name school and you really apply yourself, get involved, build your resume. I mean, there's pros and cons to every university, but make really, I guess, realistic decisions of what you can afford financially, if it offers a major you want to go into. I think for me personally, at the end of the day, you want to graduate with as little debt as possible out of college because college is super expensive. So that actually probably would, driving it financially is probably one of the most important components, I think.